show a former Huntsville pastor is going to plead guilty to federal wire fraud charges after he spent hundreds of thousands of church dollars on luxury items for himself.
Adrian Davis was the senior pastor at the now closed Huntsville branch of All Nations Worship Assembly. New court documents show that Davis used the church's money from around 2018 to around 2020 to buy cars, shoes, and much more.
Hey y'all, so Pastor Davis at All Nations Worship Center in Huntsville, Alabama, is being arraigned next week because they're saying that Pastor Davis took some money from the church. Now, Pastor Davis received a parsonage, like living arrangements provided by the church, and a salary because he was doing marketing for the church. But at the same time, between 2018 and I don't know what year, Pastor Davis is accused of taking more than $400,000 from the church. They're saying that Pastor Davis used funds to buy luxury items, to help his mama pay her mortgage, to buy a couple of cars, things that he was not supposed to be doing with the church's money. Now, I'm from the South. I'm in Alabama, not that far from Huntsville. And sometimes what I see happening with churches, especially the smaller churches, but also some of these larger churches, what I see is that churches, especially the finance department in these churches, are run based on tradition and not necessarily fiscal responsibility. A lot of times in churches, again, especially smaller churches, and this church, apparently wasn't that small if he was able to get $400,000 plus. In a lot of churches, the pastor is probably, the smartest person in the church. And with that being the case for a lot of churches, it is easy for things like this to happen when there is no oversight provided by the board of trustees and folk like that who are supposed to be taking care of the church. All churches need external accountants that will pay attention to what's going on in the church. So I know Pastor Davis, whatever's happening with Pastor Davis, whether he did this, or not, there's supposed to be some type of checks and balances, even in the church. You do not own the church. The church is also a nonprofit, y'all. The church is also a nonprofit. And sadly, a lot of pastors do not understand or even know how they're supposed to be operating financially within the church. Now, in addition to Pastor Davis getting this money to, live his best life, I guess, he also, told some untruths in his tax reporting. Now, if churches are giving you a salary, if you're a pastor, if you're getting a salary for anything, if you're earning a salary, you are supposed to file your taxes. And I know folks are telling pastors not to file their taxes. They like, you taxes, not you, the person. You got to file your taxes, and the church still has to do financial reporting. But anyway, that's not the story that we want to tell here today. He underreported in his taxes, so he's getting in trouble for that as well. But this is all to say that there's some need for accountability within the church, not just Pastor Davis's church, but I see a lot of foolishness going around in churches all the time. God don't like raggedy. I said it. God don't, come as you are, but don't stay as you are. He'll use you as you are, but don't stay as you are. If you came in there raggedy, fix it. Even in the church, y'all, you don't want to have a raggedy church. And the church gets a lot of, bad press anyway. You don't want to be the reason why people lose trust in the church. You don't want people to think that every financial move in the church is something like this, and that the pastor's taking or stealing the money or doing these things. I don't know what happened to bring this to light, whether there may have been an external audit or something that caught this, but $400,000 is not a financial error. $400,000 is somebody utilizing funds that did not belong to them. Whether you're the pastor or not, there's supposed to be records of how these funds are being spent. You're not supposed to have full authority to just go and swipe the church's card or spend or write a check for the church or do whatever you want to do because it's your church or whatever. And these are the things that are getting people in trouble. And folk, again, I'm from the South and I've seen it for myself, growing up in the church. I've seen things where some people just don't understand what that is. Having a couple deacon brothers in the finance department who don't understand finances and who do not understand church financial reporting and who do not understand fiscal responsibility for churches puts your church in a bad place. Puts the church in general in a bad place. And you don't want to be that pastor. You don't want to be that church. You don't want to be that kind of raggedy. Okay? Fix your church stuff, y'all. Don't be like Pastor Davis. And I know y'all be out here. Some of y'all pastors be out here balling. And to a pastor's defense, and I don't know Pastor Davis, but to a pastor's defense, sometimes y'all are unfairly judged. You want to live too. You want to eat too. You want to buy you a car too. If your salary supports that. And I'm not talking about extra money that you're taking from the church. I'm talking about whatever your salary is. So a lot of pastors have 2 and 3 jobs because the salary at the church doesn't support the life that they want to live. And sometimes with your 3rd job, you bought your car and you bought your house, and folk will still say, well, you got money from the church, and they just be making stuff up. Don't pay those people no attention because they don't know what they're talking about. But if you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing with the church's funds, I need for you to stop that. I need for you not to be raggedy. I don't want to have your church on Raggedy Watch. I just don't want to. I don't. Don't be raggedy. Okay. Bye, y'all.